What's going on, people? Myke C-Town here with another episode of Out of My Element, where you guys get to pick the album that I review. And the winner of the poll for this video is Blood Orange, Negro Swan. But before we get into the album, I'm going to talk about the sponsor for this video, which is Dossier. I love a good cologne, but I'm extremely picky about scents, and I'm especially not stoked on the high price tag as some of them. But Dossier is a perfume company that specializes in reproducing classic, high-end luxury scents at a fraction of the price. But just because the price is lower, that doesn't mean that the quality is lower. It's absolutely not. Because a lot of you know that when you buy these designer items, more times than not, you're paying that large price tag due to the brand name, not the product itself. This is something that you don't have to worry about with Dossier. The prices for these perfumes start at $29, whereas designer scents start somewhere closer to $50. The cool thing is they have a risk-free system that allows you to try the scents out before you commit to them. They offer a 30-day return policy in which you can return any opened bottle of perfume within that window and receive a full refund. Outside of the price, one thing that really attracted me to this company is the fact that all of their fragrances are ethically sourced with vegan and eco-friendly ingredients. And they're all 100% non-toxic and cruelty-free, which means no innocent animals got their eyes burned out or their skin scorched during the production of these fragrances. This is something that your favorite perfume company probably can't say. The ones I got are the Woody Sandalwood, which has a nice woodsy feel but is tamed down with some nice floral scents that's really nice. And I got the Musky Oak Moss, which is a nice blend of bergamot, rose, and oak moss with a subtle musk undertone, which is really dope. But I dig both fragrances. I think I like the Sandalwood more because it's more my style, but it goes on light and it lasts a really long time. You know, I don't find myself having to reapply unless I've literally been gone all day long. So be sure to check out the website that's linked down there in the description section. You can get a 20% discount off of your first order, but I also have a code down there that gives you another 10% off of your order. So you can get 30% off your first order. I think that's a pretty good deal. And you can also get free shipping if you buy 3 bottles at once. So check it out. But now, getting into the album, I'm not super familiar with Blood Orange, but it's the moniker of Devonte Hines. He's a musician, producer, and songwriter that's worked with artists like Kylie Minogue, Solange, Theophilus London, Carly Rae Jepsen. So clearly his musical repertoire is very diverse, which I think is really cool. He's actually featured on A$AP Rocky's Testing, and he's on a song that I really like. And I felt like on that song his vocals seemed almost random, but I absolutely loved him, you know, and the hell with y'all, man. Testing is great. But yeah, I'd never heard a full song, let alone a full album from Blood Orange. And I've noticed this album got nominated quite a few times, but it never won until now. But either way, I was really interested in going to listen to it, but I just never got around to it. But yeah, here we are. So it starts off with Orlando, which is this beautiful instrumental that's smooth but also kind of funky. It has some nice slick percussion, a little wah-wah, you know what I'm saying? It's really, really nice. And then you have the vocals, which I wasn't really expecting this, but the vocals are beautiful. He's got this really nice falsetto that lends to the instrumental very, very well. And I loved the theme of this song, you know, basically about being bullied when he was young and what that did to him as he was growing up, something I can definitely relate to. After school, sucker punched down, down, and out. First kiss was the floor. Sucker punch down. You know, punching down is basically picking on people who are smaller than you in some way, whether that be physically, mentally, or even socially. And his first kiss being the floor, you know, being knocked down and feeling this level of hate before you've even had a chance to get a kiss out of love. Like, that's some real shit. The next song, Saint, is another beautiful song. Again, really nice percussion and these really pretty keys. It sounds great, and Devonte's voice works really well here. And, you know, again, I love the lyrics. Your skin's a flag that shines for us all. You said it before, the brown that shines and lights your darkest thoughts. I could be reading into this wrong, but it sounds like an idea of black love, you know, seeing black and brown skin, especially in places that some would say it doesn't belong, and being proud seeing it, you know? It gives me the idea of how I felt when I was young and I saw bands like Fishbone and Bad Brains, and being happy to see black people in those spaces and feeling like their skin tone was a flag for us all that felt like we were out of place while we were trying to operate within those spaces. I saw the track list and I noticed the song Hope and that it featured Diddy, and I was like, what the hell's going on here? You know, how's this gonna work? And the second I heard Diddy say, yo, yeah, I was like, fuck, this is gonna be bad. But I was totally wrong, you know? This came together quite nicely. A nice beat, a little bass, some piano, it's really dope. And the main singer, Taishay, I don't know if I'm butchering this person's name, but yeah, she lent a lot to the song. She sounded great. And, you know, Diddy only said a few lines that were kind of repeated, but it worked. Even his little outro worked. I dug it. Charcoal Baby's another beautiful song on this album. I love the gorgeous guitar work and the really infectious keyboard work. It's really a throwback sound, but I think it functions. It sounds especially throwback once the sax comes in towards the end, but it's beautiful. And once again, the lyrics are stellar. No one wants to be the odd one out at times. No one wants to be the Negro Swan. I think that this would be self-explanatory, but I like how he relates being a black swan, you know, something that's an anomaly and therefore a minority, to being black in America and those difficulties. You know, a Negro Swan, you know, you can also look at it like, even though black swans are totally normal, they're still seen as different or weird, and this could be something that Devontae relates to in a much deeper way. I didn't know much about Devontae, so I had to read up on him a little bit, and I read an interview where he was discussing his fluidity when it comes to sexuality. You know, something that can be seen as weird or other, even though this is something that occurs naturally. Chewing Gum, more beautiful production, man. It has this really angelic feel with these soaring soundscapes that really take you somewhere if you let it. And I got pretty excited when I saw A$AP Rocky was on this, because I was really curious what he was gonna do with this song. But I can't lie, I wasn't blown away by his verse. And if you keep up with me, you know how much I love A$AP Rocky, but this verse just didn't really work, man. I guess he did what needed to be done here, but I think I was hoping for him doing something a bit more unorthodox. But what he did here pretty much sounds like how I'd expect just about any rapper to lay a verse down over this type of production. You know, that's not saying it was bad, it just wasn't really good. Holy Will offers some beautiful gospel vibes. You know, I love what Ian Isaiah does over this backdrop. I'm not familiar with them either, but they sounded fantastic. I especially love what the instrumental was doing on the chorus with those abrupt stops, the "in my holy will." I thought that was really nice. It was on the song Dagenham Dream where I noticed the same voice was popping up on these interludes, you know? And I looked it up and found that it was Janet Mock, who I'm familiar with as a trans activist, author, actress. Being interested in her work, I thought it was cool seeing her on this album. But at one point she says, "Part of survival is like being able to just fit in, to be seen as normal and to quote unquote belong. But I think that so often in society, in order to belong means that we have to shrink parts of ourselves." That's some real shit that I can relate to, and I feel like that can apply to people in just about any area if it's one that's been seen as abnormal or outsider, you know. But I get that her stance here was probably in relation to the queer experience or the queer identity, but it can also be related to race or anything where the vocal majority sees you as an other. But overall, I think this album is cool. You know, it definitely gives me Frank Ocean vibes. It gave me Serpent with Feet vibes. Sometimes it gave me Childish Gambino, specifically Awaken My Love vibes. I think the sequencing was really nice. The songs definitely flow right into each other. At times they kind of bleed into each other, which gives it this really nice wavy kind of vibe to it. The songs still have identities of their own, but I don't think that any of them really take you out of the mood of this album. Now that's not to say that I think every moment here is perfect. I do think that some of the songs could be fleshed out a little bit more, as some of them come off a little half-baked. Songs like Take Your Time, Vulture Baby, Moneta Creek, I feel like they could have had a few more movements worked into them, and they could have been developed into full-length songs. That's not to say that these songs are bad. They're not at all bad. Especially Moneta Creek. I really enjoyed that song. I just feel like they were all missing a little bit of something. I also think he has the same issue as Frank Ocean, if you want to call it an issue. And that's in the vocal tone, which is pretty stagnant for the most part of this album. You know, he doesn't really show a lot of vocal range here, but I'm personally okay with that. You know, I think given the sonic theme of this album, he doesn't need to have a lot of range because his voice works for what he's trying to accomplish. Same as Frank Ocean, you know, but I can still kind of understand someone else being bothered by that. But yeah, I think this is a great album. You know, it feels like a grand statement on self-acceptance. You know, being someone who grew up feeling like an outsider and uncomfortable in my own body and having people target and attack me over that. This was a nice album to hear. You know, I love the idea of coming to the realization that even if you're an outsider, you're still beautiful, and you've always been beautiful. You know, because a black swan is still a swan, right? But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you leave some comments down there. Let me know what you think of Blood Orange, and let me know what you think of this album. If you'd like to be able to suggest albums that go on the poll, you have to become a patron, which you can do for as little as $1 a month, which goes to help this channel stay afloat. I love you all. But yeah, that's it. As usual, thank you for living, thank you for loving, thank you for being you, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, peace out.